Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
The sun's shining, birds are singing, and all feels right in the world.
Until the season changes, and suddenly you lose your motivation to get out of bed. In fact, 1 in 5 people experience some form of depression, no matter the season or time of year.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, our vision is to build a mentally healthy nation for all, because we want you to live your best life and be your best you all year round.
Please visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.
Welcome to Modern Mom Probs, where we're trying to solve the world's modern mom problems. And if we can't do that, at least we're having fun talking about them. I'm Tara Clark. Let's go. Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Modern Mom Probs. I am your girl, Tara, and today we are talking about one of the biggest modern mom problems out there, digital wellness and our children. I am joined by two sisters who are best friends and moms and the co-founders of Sage Haven, which is a safe messaging app designed for kids in the first early years of being online. These women also happen to be the podcast hosts of a very funny, very relatable show called Sage Sisters. So I'm so happy to welcome Kate Doerksen and Ann Pizzuti to the show. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thanks. We're excited to be here.
Having us.
I am so excited to have you here. So before we jump in, I want to know a little bit about yourselves, a little bit about your company. I'm going to start with Kate first.
Awesome. Kate Doerksen, and obviously Ann is my sister. So we're moms, sisters, and co-founders, which is really fun. I live on the West Coast. I've got 2 kiddos, almost 10 and 7, a girl, boy. I have been a serial entrepreneur my whole career. So this is my 4th company and been around this carousel a few times, but this one is really personal. So we'll get into all of that, but I'm so excited to be here. Big fan of your pod and your Instagram. And so it's awesome. We're excited.
I'm excited to chat about all this. So Ann, tell me a little bit about yourself too.
Yeah. So like she said, I'm the younger sister. We started this company together all about mental health and digital safety for kids because we are parents ourselves. And I have 3 kids. So I have a 9-year-old, 7-year-old, and 3-year-old. And I live in the middle of the country outside of Nashville. And we just felt called to this space because of all of our friends dealing with this, with elementary, middle school kids. And we'll kind of get into the origin story of Sage Haven that hits a little home. But yeah, we're excited to kind of spread the word and really get into the details.
Yeah. All right. Well, then let's jump into that origin story. Do tell.
Perfect. So our teen family member, we try to protect privacy a little bit, but
of course,
went through sort of every parent's worst nightmare version of introducing tech, starting in late elementary school and then going all the way through middle school. So we were really just supporting this like a family member for the first few years, but I think it opened up our eyes to sort of the status quo. And Ann and I come from a really strong family and really engaged parents. And so it was a little bit like, yikes, if that could happen to them, it literally could happen to anyone. And really it started because the friends all got smartphones and sort of the messaging moved from iMessage over to Snapchat. The beginning of the cyberbullying really started because they felt very ostracized. Like, oh, you're not cool. You don't have these things. So I think for us, it just like, we have so much empathy. It's like, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. Mm-hmm. And like, this is one, it's like, man, it takes a village. If you're on your own saying no, it really can lead to even worse outcomes, which is so terrifying. So I think that's how it started. And then it was everything from cyberbullying to then limited access, but tried to do all the parental controls. We saw like a huge breakdown in like what should have been blocked. a really harmful content reaching them, resulting in a really serious mental health crisis. So we just surrounded it with love for years. But I think, we also are moms. This is something our own mom friend groups are kind of really trying to figure out in real time. And just my entrepreneurial background, I just believe like timing is everything. And this just has that groundswell feel to it of like, hey, a lot of people are going to do things differently going forward because of all these things that we've gone through and like how much pain and suffering is happening in and around all things sort of kid tech and mental health. So that's sort of our why. And it's really been a joy to work on something that Ian and I, well, one, we are our own customers. Like,
yes,
right,
exactly.
We want for our own family.
Right.
But also just like we know how it can go bad and care so much. I just, every time I'm tired, I just like think of a family who we might be able to help. And that just like is endless fuel.
It really is. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm going to share a story that actually happened with my son 3 years ago. So I'm going to paint the picture. And this only just will go to prove why your app is so important and the work that you do is so important. My son was part of a group chat where this was actually before he got a phone, but the chat was actually on his iPad because he would game on his iPad. And it was through my husband's, I guess it was my husband's iPad. And that's how we were able to see the messages. Mm-hmm. So my son was part of this group chat, which was a very toxic group chat. And one day, the whole thing sort of exploded where they were teasing him and he was saying, please stop it. And they were relentlessly teasing him. And he was like, please stop it. So then finally, he snapped and he was like cursing at them, like, F you guys, like, I told you to stop. Why won't you knock it off? This other kid told him to, and I'm saying this nicely, off himself. And my son was very upset. And then he actually, at that point, I think was at his friend's house and we were seeing the messages come through and simultaneously, like he was texting me that he was upset. So I flew down to his friend's house. I picked him up. He was crying. I was shaking. I went over to the other kid's house and was like, this is uncalled for. Like you cannot text people and tell them to kill themselves. Like that is unequivocally not okay. And just to give you an idea, they were 10. I think they were 10 at this point. Mm-hmm. So I get home, my son's home, trying to calm him down. I'm trying to calm down. I call all of the moms of the boys that were on this group chat, telling them one by one what was happening because people don't often, it depends on the family, but not everyone looks at the messages and screens the messages the way that my husband and I do. And particularly because it was coming through my husband's iMessage because it's on his laptop. It's on his iPad. Right. It's on both his iPad and his laptop. And so we see those messages and that's not the case for everyone else. So I had to call all of the moms and let them know what was happening. And most of them, I think all of them except for one, were super apologetic, saying, I'm so sorry that this happened. Yeah. They were receptive. There was like, there's no, excuse for this and this and that. One mom was not receptive. Mm-hmm. And she was like, are you calling me a bad mom? And I said, of course, I'm not calling you a bad mom. I'm just letting you know what's happening here. You should be aware of what your children are talking about on the group chat. And that particular incident, amongst a couple other things, was the impetus to actually leave the school and put my son in private school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, it's such a dramatic story. I'm sorry you went through that. Yeah. And our family member went through almost the exact same situation. And when Kate and I, we really tried to talk to each other about, we knew we wanted to start a company. We knew this was a major issue going on with our family and we felt called to do it. So we took a lot of time, a whole year to just interview. It started with our friends, then it grew to our community. Then we started to interview people from across the country and every situation, every background. And that story, unfortunately, is very common. You think those words are so extreme. You think it may not happen to your kid. That is happening so much. And it's just heartbreaking that kids at 10 years old will say that. One, they're 10. They're innocent on both sides for the most part. They probably didn't even know how severe of words that is on the other side. Of course, they should be educated with their parents. So we really wanted to understand the issues. And every parent said it started with group chat, and group chat started way earlier than I ever imagined. And it was in elementary school fourth and fifth grade. It starts with the class chat. And anyways, I just, we have such empathy, and the whole design of Sage Haven, it is an app. It's a safer messaging app. So we're starting there. We have big plans to grow our company into many different aspects of digital safety, but we're starting there, and it will block harmful messages before they're even sent. So the parents on both sides can be alerted. The parent whose kid said something harmful can be alerted and have a conversation with them, because that will stick with that kid forever. Your son would never have received that message, but you would have been alerted. So then you would be able to still handle it in a different way without the trauma of it getting to the kid. So anyways, thank you for sharing that story. And that truly is why Sage Haven is in existence right now.
That makes me so happy to hear. And now here my son is, he's 13 and a half almost. And although he is a part of group chats, he does not participate in them. His friends are always like, why do you ghost us? You always ghost us. And he learned from that experience 3 years ago to just not engage. So he will read other people, whether they're fighting or something like that, but he knows better than to jump in at any point. And I'm proud of him for holding boundaries and for setting boundaries around the group chats, because he learned the hard way from a very young age. And I don't know if many other kids at that point are really as insightful in learning from it.
Absolutely able to set a boundary.
Yeah, the apps that are popular, even before kids have social media and smartphones, is like iMessage and Google Messages and these apps that come with whatever, the most popular hardware. And it gets set up informally. And I think we have a lot of empathy too for why parents introduce it. Like, as Anne mentioned, we spent so much time talking to families and experts and kids. We interviewed over 500 parents and kids, actually. But it was really, we just listened. How do you use tech and how's it going? And then let's see what bubbles to the top. But chat bubbled to the top. But we learned a lot of reasons why families want it or need it too. And I think, this is nuanced. It's not so simple as just go, well, no tech. Because parents also want to give their kids more autonomy in the real world. So they give them a watch so that they can go on play dates and go to the park, and they're ready for more, so that they can communicate with close friends and family who might not live nearby. If you're divorced, you often give devices sooner so that you can talk when they're at the other parent's house. If there's any learning differences, usually tech is part of a solution there. If your kid has certain health issues, phones are part of monitoring. It's just like there were so many things we heard about, like why introduce tech in elementary school. Like, and I think even like in my own life, we gave my daughter a watch because we're too busy working parents, and we're like hanging on a thread with the logistics of like, okay, now dad's going to pick you up. Now you have a play date. Like, it's like we're kind of still shuffling. So I think we totally understand the why. And yet the apps that are very popular they're not intended for kids. They were built for adults. They don't factor in what a 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old needs, or they don't teach them how to message well. So we just started asking the question, well, what would you want? Like, we just started asking really moms primarily, but it's like, well, what would you want to see? And like, we learned so many moms were grabbing iPads and scrolling backwards to try to keep an eye on this. And they were like, it's just such a burden. It's such a, modern mom problem, not to be like on the nose with it, but it's like,
no, but it is here.
And all of them had guilt about like, oh, I haven't checked it in a couple days, but like I need it, just another thing that takes so much time, another burden. And there wasn't one app that put it on our phone to easily supervise. This seemed crazy to us. We're like, well, why not? That's so obvious. Like, if everybody's supervising at the young ages, why not make that easy? And why not use AI to do alerts and recaps so I don't have to read through 100 silly messages?
Yeah.
Make that efficient.
It's important because we really designed this for the very early stages, almost the entry point into it at all, which is, we kind of lead a lot with the fear and the negative that has happened, and the why we did it has a kind of a negative background. But really, there's so many great connecting points, like kids connecting with friends is great. Kids starting to learn in an educated way how to use tech is not bad. There just wasn't any trusted tool out there. We didn't feel comfortable letting our own family use it. So I think it's important too to say, there can be a lot of good coming from this.
For sure.
And when we talk about parent supervision, it's for those early years. Do we think it's appropriate to parent supervise when your kids are way older? And we joke with if your daughter wants to flirt with boys when they're 50, of course. Like, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the entry point into tech. So
and most messaging starts at 8 or 9. That's the data across the country. It starts at, really, we're talking second, third, and fourth grade as the entry point, with group chats really coming into the fold in a big way in fourth, fifth, and sixth grade, pretty much all over the country. So we're kind of in that sweet spot, the like between 8 to 12 initially.
Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Yep. That's exactly what it was for us, where I think for my son, it was probably 9. And again, on the iPad with the iMessages, because it's all connected through the Apple software. Exactly how you mentioned that was our situation as well. That was our experience.
And that's true all over the country. I think too, like one of the things in our interviews that was interesting is like how similar this is in all pockets of the country. It actually, if you're lower socioeconomic, you'll start earlier because they tend to have like a little more need for screens on gaps in childcare and a little bit more divorce. So that was kind of driving it. If you're more affluent, you might delay that by a year or so. But like all over, all demographics, this is a mom problem from top to bottom. This is everybody's issue. And so I think, it's not just bullying. I mean, that's one of them. And I'm so sorry your son went through them.
Thank you.
There's so much going on right now in the news around like addiction, but group chat bubbled to the top as like where people learn to check their device all the time because they over notify you. And it's like, you start getting that foaming at the mouth, like FOMO of like, what if I miss a message? And it's like they're ping, 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 ping on every emoji response from a group chat, which is a billion. So it's like, it's too much unhinged activity. Yeah. So it just like they learn addiction. It's also where inappropriate content reaches them. So a lot of the parents had taken time to set up parental controls at home. They had blocked certain apps on the TV and they had the adult websites limited for their home internet, but the kids were accessing stuff through the group chat. Anything from porn to like racist YouTube videos to violent stuff, things that every mom would be like, no, for a 8, 9, 10-year-old.
Or a 15-year-old or a 30-year-old.
15, right. Yeah. Right. But like, especially at the early ages, like, even more severe. So it was just like, yikes. Like it's an access, not for bullying, for addiction, for inappropriate content. So it just group chat was like, oh man, we got to do something here. And at the same time, parents were like, we kind of want to stay on iMessage and it's going to be hard to get everyone to a new app. And I interviewed a bunch of founders who had tried to start like, I call them closed loop, but like where everybody needs to be on the new thing. And that's just hard. It's called like a cold start, but it's hard to get everybody to move at the same time.
It's unrealistic and asking a lot of your entire community. We see that with any issue. It's not going to happen. So we didn't try. So we built it to be interoperable. So the way Sage Haven works is a mom will go to the app store, download the Sage Haven app, set up a kid profile, and then we issue a Sage Haven number to every kid, which the kids like because a lot of times it's their first number. And they feel like, ooh, I have a number now. But it is one that you can share with trusted friends and family who can then use iMessage and Google Messages and other apps. But then any messages and calls get pulled into Sage Haven through that number. So really, if your kid has Sage Haven, you get all the benefits no matter who else does what. And like the mom can stay on iMessage and message her kid who gets it on Sage Haven.
I love that. Because you know what happens many times? Like we had locked my son's phone down. His very, very first phone was a Bark phone, which was like super locked down, but almost to the point where like it wasn't even usable. Like then we tried to like I don't know, we were trying to cancel the subscription or something. We couldn't. It was like so locked down. We couldn't do anything with it. And now he has like a regular iPhone, which also has all of the parental restrictions on it. I think many times people think it has to be all or nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's very little nuance.
Well, and I blame the tech companies for this too. They make parental controls weirdly hard. Like you have to have a PhD in weird legalese and language to like understand how to get it all set up. It's like they're not our ally in like what are the defaults that a 10-year-old would want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then let's maybe tweak from there if I have some specific preferences, but like they're not helping us out at all. And
well,
so
I come from a background of sales and marketing. And so I'm not as tech. And I love to be the person in our organization that's like, okay, dumb it down. Okay, that's not going to work. You know, like
I'll make something and Anne's like, I have no freaking idea what that
means.
I'm like,
that's not going to fly.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Exactly. Proud to be that person.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Do you understand our client better?
Yeah.
So I think it's great in terms of just being able to try to make this simple. Like we really deeply at a deeper level than even like this messaging app. We're trying to build a tech company that parents actually trust. And I don't know, there's not a lot of that out there. And a lot of the parental control companies, I think we're mission aligned with most of them, but a lot of them lead with fear and it has like policing energy, I feel. And I'm sort of like, I kind of, for myself, just being honest, would love more of something that felt like an ally. Like, okay, help me. Like, I want to use Apple products because I think the hardware is the best, but like, help me figure out how to do this well. You know, I want my kid to be able to message cousins across the country. Help me figure out how to enable this in a way that's like safe, healthy usage. So we're hoping to really almost like start a movement of parents like demanding better, safer solutions. We've been advocating like crazy for legislation and AI guardrails, and we're thrilled with some of the lawsuits against some of the social media companies, just because it's like, you know, we're doing that work. But I think more than that, we're just building a community of parents that I think are pretty moderate and like, we're not no tech. We use tech. Like we're tech optimists. We think it can be great. We think it can be connecting and joyful. And we got to kind of figure out the sweet spot of like what's appropriate at each age and how much is how much.
There's a bonding too between parent and child, not just kid to kid. When you approve them to talk with another kid, that's bonding. But when we do alerts and recaps with our AI, if something was harmful, you get an alert and you can message it. There's different layers of alerts, right? Not everything is going to be blocked. You know, it just may be like a moment for you to say, oh, I might talk to them about that later. You suck at basketball. It may not be blocked. But maybe like, was that the kindest thing to say to your friend? Probably not. But also like bonding prompts, like the hot topic they're really excited about is, you know, a summer camp coming up or a basketball game or whatever it is. But that gives you kind of a little bit of knowledge on what they're talking to their friends about and what's really exciting them. So that it's meant to kind of help the parent relationship as well and kind of grow with your kid.
That's such a great point. I don't think that many people think about that, or they're not necessarily getting those alerts to find common ground. I love that. That is such a great use for it.
Well, and I also love, Anne kind of mentioned the like gray area. There's so much gray area in chat. I mean, obviously we'll block the really, really obviously bad stuff. That's a no-brainer. But the nuance, I think, is like what the most exciting opportunity is here. So like we're creating these AI, we call them nudges. But it's like, hey, that might hurt their feelings. What if you say this instead? From an AI alert, not even your own mom, right? We're going to teach them what good looks like. We're going to be a parent's ally, coaching your kid to be kind and to use best practices. Hey, you're chatting one-on-one in front of a huge group. Let's move that to a private conversation. I know there's a lot of adults that need that. So it's like, just the coaching, we're going to help you, hey, you got 15 minutes left here. Here's some ideas of stuff you could do outside, you know, like let's help parents get the kids off the screens too.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of like, I think when you start talking to moms and brainstorm, what would you love to see? All of our good ideas really came from these interviews where people were like, well, I'd love this and I'd love this and I'd love this. So if any of your listeners have ideas for us, like this is how we come up with ideas, like send us your thoughts of what you would really want and we'll build it in here. This is a mom-driven product.
Yeah.
That's the best. I'm going to ask both of you a question that I ask all of my guests, and I'm super curious to see what your answer is. I'm going to start with Anne first, okay? What do you think is the biggest modern mom problem today?
Well, maybe it's just because of how much research we've done in the space, but I truly do think it's tech. Tech in the kids, because it's at school too. If you don't go, private school, public school, there's tech within the classrooms. There is tech with every part of your kid's life, even if you say no under your household. And so I think that figuring out the solution of how to keep our kids safe, but also not have tech abstinence is the biggest modern mom problem right now that I see with my friends that we haven't quite figured out fully. That's the thing,
Yeah. We're working towards it.
Yes. Yes.
I think too, maybe like my version of this, which of course is like navigating tech, but it's also just like finding the balance. Like I think some parents that we've talked to are so scared of that then they overschedule, and every day the kid has an extracurricular activity and there's no weird playtime with neighbors. And like, I don't know. I just think as a mom community, and then that puts a lot of pressure on us to have everything, the logistics of the daily extracurricular plus the shuffling and the chauffeuring is like so extreme. So I'm just like, I think the most pressing issue is like, how do we create a cohort of kids that has a moderate healthy relationship with tech and their friends, and a moderate healthy relationship with like enough time to play outside and enough time for sports and extracurriculars. And it's not so intense or all or nothing. I just feel like we are kind of in this space. And I think we're the first generation that grew up on social media as moms too. And anything on social media, starts moving to the edges of extremes, but it's like, it's really just that sweet middle ground of like, no, I want to make enough time for my family dinners and do sports, but not in an insane way, and do some tech, but with boundaries. I don't know. And that's easier said than done, all of that.
Well, and if I could be even more generic, because we've talked a lot about tech, I think a huge issue for moms right now is how to not be anxious moms. There's so much on our plates. There's, trying to even keep our own selves, fit and happy and mental health. And then you have the kid activities, and then you have trying to even have a mom hobby. And then you have all the fear tactics going out about how to keep your kids safe, not just with tech, but with everything. I have a very high dose of anxiety, and I did not as just a normal person before motherhood. So I think just trying to, have moms be a community and a village and lean on others to help with the anxiety is something that I'm trying to do. But that's a huge issue as well.
It's all related too, in a weird way.
It's all interconnected. It's just one big web of the same thing. Ladies, you are so incredible. I could talk to you forever. Tell everyone where we can. Well, wait, let's talk about the podcast for a second.
Yeah.
Before I even say where we could download the app. Tell us a little bit about the show and the topics you cover, and tell me all the things about the pod.
Yeah, well, it's called Sage Sisters Podcast, and you can listen to us anywhere you listen to podcasts. But the whole idea is that we are not 100% tech. We talk about tech heavy when we go on other podcasts. We just talk about what's going on in our everyday life, mom issues, similar to you and where you're tackling all of these major modern mom problems. We just like to have a fun place for moms to come and have a relatable space. Like we just laugh. We tell real stories of everything that's going on. We're very, very real, almost to a default. Our mother calls us all the time, like, I wouldn't have shared that. It's like, okay, well.
Does she listen? Does she listen to the show?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. And, on accident, she may get roasted on there a little bit with other family members. But it's just meant to be fun and lighthearted and relatable for parents, and a space where moms can feel like we're not judging them. We're just here to kind of talk about all the things we're all dealing with.
Yeah. And in addition to Sage Sisters podcast, we also started Sage Parents. So this was just like all the learnings from all these interviews and talking to all the experts. We were sort of like, there's a lot out there for older kids, but like, where is the like succinct, this is best practice, this is the research. So we put out a really nice guidebook for parents with kids between the ages of 5 and 12, which you can get for free over at sageparents.org. So that's artists like eventually it'll probably be a nonprofit, but it's like, we just put out free resources for parents based on like what we've learned. Sage Sisters Pod is just where Ann and I basically laugh and shoot the shit every week.
I love that so much.
And then Sage Haven is our safe messaging app, voice calling app for kids, really geared towards 8 to 12-year-olds. So if you're got any kids in that era, we'd love for you to check it out. Give us all the feedback. We just launched it to the first 15,000 people on the wait list. And it's exciting to get it into the world and make a big push this year. So we're just really grateful for all the support and helping, like really grateful to you for helping us raise awareness.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. So it's available on the App Store and Google Play Store. Tell me all the things where we can download the app.
So the Apple App Store will be launching Android this summer. So we have, if you go to sagehavenforkids.com, you can join the Android waitlist, and then we'll release you here. We're already working on it, so it should just be a couple months. So yeah, we're very excited. We're getting great feedback from the parents that are on it that were like, oh, thank God. So I think we're onto something.
I think you are too. You definitely are. As somebody that has gone through such a terrible experience like that, I'm so grateful for the two of you and your team to create something like this and put it out into the world. And then the same thing with all of the materials that you have on sageparents.org. Like, you have a lot of information about digital wellness.
Well, we learned a lot and we care a lot. And like, I don't know, just for Ann and I, it is so personal, but it's like, I know there's a lot of influencers out there that sell all these guides, and a lot of the information probably is somewhat overlap, but I'm like, this is totally free. Our app is totally free. Like, we're putting things in the world that we just like feel like need to be in the world. So hopefully that resonates and people can check it out and share it. And that'd be great.
And it was important from my side to have very easy, simplistic how-to videos on how to do parental controls on your devices, because as Kate mentioned earlier, it's just impossible. And you feel like it's an uphill battle and you almost just want to throw the iPad once you're setting it up. So we really took our time to make them very short and simplified. So parental control videos, check those out too.
That's so important, because to Kate's point earlier, it's like, you don't want to add another thing to mom's list. Like, moms have so much to do. It's like, however you can streamline these videos for the parental controls, like we as the community of moms, thank you for that.
Totally. And like, we're starting to run events where it's like, bring your devices and I'll just do it for you.
Oh my gosh, I love that. If you come out to the East Coast, let me know, because
we will be there.
I love it. Ladies, thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for the work that you do.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Modern Mom Probs. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive in today's problem with me, your host, Tara Clark. Join me next time when I'll be interviewing another great guest and tackling another modern mom problem. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review and a rating. As always, you could head over to Modern Mom Probs on Instagram and give me a follow, or check out my book, Modern Mom Probs, A Survival Guide for 21st Century Mothers, available online wherever books are sold. Well, that's it for today. See you next time, folks.
Every day, the world gets a little weirder and a lot more awesome. Cool Stuff Daily takes a look at everything from mining in space to the latest in the fight against cancer to how AI is, basically changing everything. It's all the cool stuff you didn't know you needed to know. Join us for Cool Stuff Daily as we take a quick look at science, tech, and the wait, what stories that make you sound way smarter at dinner. Subscribe to Cool Stuff Daily now, because the future's happening fast, and it's way too fun to miss.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.